Hello and welcome to Transformation Time. My name is Carol. I'm movable optimist, writer, blogger, transformational speaker, and I'm here to help you become the best version of yourself in your personal life as well as your business. Thank you so much for keeping up with us in season 1. I appreciate the feedback. Thank you so much for letting me know how I have been helping you in your business as well as your personal life. Today we're going to look at recapping on transformation. What is transformation? What does it mean to you? What does it mean for your business? And what does it mean in general? Transformation, like I said, is the point where you begin to ask yourself questions. Am I doing what I'm supposed to do? Am I content? Am I satisfied? Am I happy? Is there more to life, or is this what it takes? Transformation is the point where you want to move from A to B. Transformation is the process that you do when you begin to take action for your life. Transformation is the point where you start asking so many questions that have been lingering in your head. Transformation, as we have said, is recapping, going back to those questions that you've been asking yourself. They are steps that are required when you transform. We're looking at decluttering, we're looking at deciding, and we're looking at discipline. When it comes to transformation, you cannot do without these three things. When you start asking, what is decluttering? It's the time when you get to ask yourself, what is it that I need to clear in my head? What is it that I need to clear in my space? And what is it that I need to clear with my life in general? Because you see, when your space is crowded, when your space is heavy, this is actually a direct result of everything that is going on in your life. If you think about it, if you are working, if you have a desk and everything is all cluttered, it's very difficult for you to move ahead. It's very difficult for you to even find something as small as a pen. So why do we declutter when it comes to transformation? We declutter because we want us to start from a clean slate. Starting from a clean slate means that it doesn't matter what your past looks like. It doesn't matter what your current situation is. It's all about the future. It's all about setting goals. It's all about looking forward. So once you've decluttered, you then decide, what is it that I need to do to make my life better, to make my business thrive, and on top of that, to just be a fulfilled being. So when you start asking those questions, you know that you've positioned yourself for greatness, you've positioned yourself for success, and you've positioned yourself to be better than you were yesterday. So what are some of the things that you need to do when it comes to deciding? You need to ask yourself certain questions. You need to know, who is it that you're hanging out with? Who are the people that speak into your life? Who are the people that tell you different things? Who are the people that influence the decisions that you make? So how did you get to where you are today for you to decide that you want to transform? When it comes to deciding, it's not very easy. I can tell you it's something that actually bangs your head back and forth, because you reach a point where you start asking yourself, are these the things that I really want to do? You start, self-doubt comes in. It's the time when you start asking yourself, am I really the person that I'm supposed to be? Do I have the ability? Am I able to do it? Even though you've done it before, you start to forget your accomplishments. You start to forget the strength that you had, and you start doubting yourself. How are you going to get forward if you haven't decided? Decision making requires the third step when it comes to transformation, and that is discipline. So now you have decided. Well done and congratulations. After you've decided, you know that you need to bring in the discipline. Discipline is not easy. It has to start with self. Discipline comes from a point where it doesn't matter what it is that you have faced. You know that you've made that decision to declutter. You know that you've made that decision to decide. You know that you've made that decision to actually be disciplined. Disciplined is where it's self-motivated. Discipline is no matter what anybody says that you need to do this at a certain time, you know that you've laid out your foundation. Discipline is the point where you work with the calendar. Discipline is a point where you work with people that have been helping you. You get a mentor, you get a transformational speaker, you get a life coach, you get somebody who you look up to, who can, who has walked the path that you have walked. They don't even have to be close to you. They don't even have to be in the same environment. They can even be in a different country. All it matters is, are you taking on the good habits that they are taking on? I have a discipline. I start my day before 5, regardless what time I slept, what I ate, where I was, who I was hanging out with. It doesn't matter. Why? Because when you start doing these things and setting them in place, when you start positioning yourself, you know very well that the thing that you want to achieve, your big WH why. Which is your why? What is it that is causing you to wake up at 5 a.m.? What is it that's making you declutter? What is it that's making you decide? What is it that's giving you the discipline? Discipline is the point where it doesn't matter what people are saying. Discipline is the point where you start thinking to yourself, if I don't achieve this, there are going to be consequences. Because you see, when it comes to transformation, you've already asked yourself the questions. You know why you're at this point, because you cannot blame anybody. There's nobody that you can blame for the position that you're in, whether it's a good position, it's a bad position, it's a little bit of a crossroad. It doesn't matter, because transformation is where you start deciding on the process. You start deciding and thinking about your purpose. When it comes to discipline, it's not always easy, because it comes from a place of habits that you have grown up with environments that have, sort of given you the culture that you have today. Because you see, depending on the environment that you grew up in, whether it's your home, it's your school, the places that you hang out, it doesn't really matter. Those will then bring in the kind of discipline that you have today. Because when it comes to discipline, it's not something that somebody just imposes on you. It comes from different factors. It comes from different places. It's everything that has to do with the natural habits that you have put in place. And as we know, habits are formed over time. So when it comes to transformation, you do know that you're going through a reformation, you're going through a geographical repositioning sometimes, you're going through a mental, disposition. Everything just happens so fast in your mind. But when it comes to execution, you have to start asking the real questions. Am I ready for transformation? Am I ready to be disciplined? Because when it's time for you to get up in the morning and you want your company to succeed, you have to be the first one to show up, isn't it? When it comes to you wanting a better relationship, you have to do your part before you ask somebody else to do their part. It's the same thing when it comes to you achieving your goals. And speaking about goals, something that we'll get into later, I just want to know, have you ever sat down to ask yourself, how big is my goal? Am I really dreaming at the most, ridiculous time? Am I always sitting up and thinking about something? Is the goal that I want as big as it can get? How many times have you asked yourself, am I ready to really transform? Because transformation is the process, the active process of you being decluttered, the active process of you being disciplined, the active process of you being disciplined at every single step that you take. Because you see, you can be inspired. I always talk about this. You can be motivated. You can wake up and go to amazing seminars, watch shows like this one, talk to so many people, buy programs, invest in YouTube, and at the end of the day, you get back and it's the same thing over and over, year after year. But you need to set smart goals when it comes to transformation. We are going to talk about goals in ways that are very simple, because at the end of the day, what is a goal? It's something that you set out to achieve over a certain period of time. I can't do without goals. Why? Because they are the backbone of everything I do. It's like waking up in the morning and you don't have anything to think about, you don't have any direction, and even if you're not like me who likes to journal and write down and have something on paper and something to guide them, a little to-do list, it's okay. What is important is that you have something that's in your head that eventually you're going to put down. Everyone knows me by now that I'm big on writing down goals. There's something that happens when you release the goals. There's something that happens when you put down things on paper. It's like you're giving them life. It's like the law of attraction starts to come into place. So this is the reason why we set goals. Because without goals, you will just be walking aimlessly. You'll just be doing things without thinking. Goals help you to position yourself. Because you see, if you don't have a goal, it's almost like you don't have life. It's almost like you haven't been, driven to the point where you want something bigger to come out of you. Goals are something that even if something comes in your way, you are distracted. Even if something, comes to bump into you, it doesn't matter. You've got this thing that you're looking at. You know that you want to buy a house. You know that you want to become a better version of yourself. You know that you want your business to be on Forbes. It doesn't matter. What is important is that you have set out that goal and you're constantly looking at it. Of course, goals can't go without vision boards. If you don't know what a vision board is, it's when you take graphical representation. It can be digital, on your phones. Everybody's using these smartphones now. So, the way you screenshot and put lovely pictures and you start saving them. And then when you put them together, that becomes your vision board. Or it can be a vision album like me. I've got different vision albums in my phone, so that can also help you. But also when it comes to the traditional vision boards, this is where you cut out paper, you cut out magazines, you cut out different things, and you put them in place, and you start looking at them, and they start forming an image that you want. You start looking forward to the future, whether it's a 1-year vision board, it's a 2-year, or like mine, which is, a 5-year vision board. You just start looking at those things and asking yourself, what is it that I need to do to achieve this? Like we said, a goal is something that you put in place and you want to achieve it over a certain period of time. Goals cannot just be achieved by you thinking about them. Yes, it's good to dream, it's good to do all the things that you want to do, but at the end of the day, let's start thinking smart. Is your goal specific? Because if you get up in the morning and you tell yourself, you know what, I want to have a car. We want to know, what car do you want? What type, what year, what make? Are you buying a .com car? Are you buying it from the showroom? What is it that is making your goal very specific? We want to know, what is it that's pushing you? It has to be even the interior of the car. Is it leather? Is it, a maroon color? What is it? Is it German? Is it Japanese? Is it, you need to know what it is that you want to achieve when it comes to making your goal specific. And at the end of the day, we need to know, how are we going to know that your goal is measurable? What have you put in place to know that you are achieving? Are you saving up a certain amount of money in your bank account? How will you know that you then got the deposit on your account? Are you buying it on credit? Are you buying it cash outright? What is it that you are doing so that we can know that this goal is very measurable? You need to start asking yourself, even with your company, what are the things that you are going to achieve? How much do you need to achieve so that we know that you've reached a certain target? Because if you're just waking up in the morning and you're the CEO of your business and you don't know what it is that you want to make when it comes to your annual reviews, your financial reviews, we won't know. We want to know specifically. You are looking for maybe $500,000, or you're looking for 1 million kwacha, whatever currency you're looking at. We want to know, how are we going to know that that goal is measurable? And then at the end of the day, the goal has to be attainable. Can you actually attain that goal? Because let's say you're an individual and you're coming from your financial challenges and you know that you've never had $1 million in your account, and you tell yourself, by the end of 2018, I want to have $1 million in your account. Yet you've got over 50,000 kwacha to clear. You need to make sure that the goal is attainable. If you've never driven a Corolla and you go ahead and say, I want a Ferrari tomorrow, we need to start thinking, what are the odds that tomorrow, apart from some miracle, we can't deny that they do happen, but we want to know, is your goal attainable? Because if you don't make your goals attainable, this is where the frustration comes to come in. You start thinking, you're frustrated and the time is not happening fast enough. This is the time where you start asking yourself, like, maybe, this thing is too much for me. So you need to make sure that your goal is attainable. It's something that you can take step by step. Okay, tomorrow I've saved up so much. Tomorrow I'm going on the internet to look for my car. The next day, you know how much it is, to bring it in. And then after that, who do I need to send? Do I need to drive it myself? Which port is it coming through? So your goal has to be very attainable. And at the end of the day, is it also realistic? Because if it's not realistic and relevant, we then start to doubt. Where are you getting your dreams from? Because one thing we always say when it comes to coaching and mentorship and life coaching is that sometimes we should always take even advice from somebody who has been where we want to be. There's nothing wrong with getting advice from somebody who has experience or has been given the wisdom in that department. But you need to know, your goal, is it relevant? Is it realistic? Is it something that somebody can wake up today and actually know that, this is what they wrote down and I know that it's relevant to their life? Because if you, let's say, work on a farm and tomorrow you go, and get that Ferrari that I was talking about, how is that practical when you need to, ship your goods, or you need to take them to another place, or you need to courier, or you need to, take them to the store? How are we going to know that you are being realistic? It's the things that need to add up. Yes, you have this goal to get a luxury car, but right now, what is relevant for today on your farm? What is relevant today for yourself? What is relevant for tomorrow? What is relevant for your kids? If you have a family, does it make sense to go and get a Ferrari when you need to put 3-4 kids in the back? So all those are things that you need to start looking at when it comes to setting your goals. And the most important thing, a lot of people wake up and, as we're getting to, the mid of the year and everything, people start looking back at the goals that they wanted to achieve. and they find they haven't even achieved anything, and it's June, it's July. Do you know why? It's because it hasn't been time bound. Your goal has to be time bound. When are you going to achieve this? Is it next week? Is it next month? Is it next year? Is it in 2 years' time? Is it in 5 years' time? Those are things that you need to look at when it comes to setting your goals, because you will get back to this place where you listen to a show like this, you go back on YouTube, like I said, and start looking at all the motivational videos. You wake up at a certain time and you always be thinking about your goal, but you haven't put a time bound to it. You know why a time bound is very important? Because it pushes you. It gets you to wake up, and it shows you exactly what you are doing in a certain period of time. It tells you whether you're running behind schedule. Even as an organization, even as corporates, you're going to start looking at all these things and thinking, you know what, we should have employed 5 salespeople by this time. We should have reached, a certain amount. We should have been giving people gratuity. We should have gone public at this time. All these things are things that you need to look at when it comes to setting your goals. So when it comes to transformation, this is something that you need to remember. You decide, you declutter, and you discipline yourself. And at the end of the day, you set SMART goals. I hope that this episode has been helpful for you. Don't forget to follow me on social media. Facebook, it's Carol Mushota. Twitter and Instagram, it's at Carol Mushota TT. YouTube, Carol Mushota Transformation TV. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.